Their division rivals, the Florida Marlins, in games 1 and 2. Today, on Independence Day, the Braves look to keep their season-long home dominance alive by sending ace Tim Hudson to the mound to close out the series. The fireworks are coming, and the Braves and Marlins are coming up now on Fox Sports South. It's an absolutely beautiful Independence Day weekend here in Atlanta, Georgia, as we welcome you to Sunday Braves on Fox Sports South. It's brought to you by your Greater Atlanta Hyundai dealers. Make it a Hyundai Sunday every week on Fox Sports South. A lot of red, white, and blue here at the ballpark, but it's been the Braves' opponents who've been blue lately. Braves go for a 3-game series sweep as they wrap things up here at home against the Florida Marlins. And a very happy 4th of July Sunday. It's also All-Star Selection Sunday with our two All-Stars, Joe Simpson and Tom Glavine. I'm Chip Carey. It's been a very good week, Tommy, for the Braves. They've picked up 2.5 games on the Mets in the last week.
Yeah, they have, and that certainly will be something that they'll focus on here in the last week of the first half of the season going into the All-Star break. I think you're very mindful of not getting too far ahead of yourself, looking at that point in the schedule where you're going to get a couple days off. I'm sure Bobby's going to remind these guys we have a week's left of unfinished business here, and particularly because they're playing against two teams that are still chasing them in the division, they have an opportunity to open up even more ground.
And those two teams are the Mets and the Phillies, of course. But during, Joe, this 4-game winning streak for the Braves, it's been dramatic offense for Bobby Cox's club.
Yeah, more come from behind wins for Atlanta. Remember when they went to Chicago and got swept, things weren't going so good when it came time to get some clutch hits. But how about Friday night? Troy Gloss, after a leadoff walk to McCann, comes through with an 0-2 count, hits a double, and that set up the Braves. And Omar Infante, who was just named to the All-Star team, he comes through in the clutch. He'd come into the game late for defense. He drives in a couple of runs to win it, and the Braves weren't done there. Yesterday, more good hitting from guys that you really don't expect coming off the bench. Lately, Brian McCann dropping a bunt down, too, against the shift. That got things going after a chipper base hit. Infante again with another big hit, driving in a run. And Gregor Blanco, who has been absolutely spectacular since going into the lineup, replacing Nate McLeod. He's 8 for his last 16. And when the Florida Marlins decide to pitch to him at first base open, he drives in 2 runs. So good clutch hitting has been part of this 6-2 homestand for the Braves. They'll try to make it 7-2 today.
And again, they're hoping for a 4-game win streak, and they'll do it behind their ace, Tim Hudson, another All-Star for the Atlanta Braves. Ricky Velasco will be his pitching opponent in the series wrap-up. Beautiful day for a ball game. Red, white, and blue, the dominant colors. Those are the colors of the Braves. We'll see if it helps them sweep away the Marlins as we get set with first pitch and lineups right after this. In part by your local To you in part by Sherwin-Williams, by your local Ford dealers, and by AirTran Airways. Sherwin-Williams, by your local Ford dealers, and by AirTran Airways. Oh, Turner Field is buzzing. 4th of July holiday, the Braves in first place and going for a 3-game sweep over the Florida Marlins. And our broadcast is on AFM, the American Forces Network, broadcasting to the U.S. Armed Forces, serving in 175 countries and aboard ships at sea. They're watching around the world in Iraq, Germany, Italy, Southwest Asia, South Korea, and Japan. We welcome all of the fine men and women of our armed forces, and we salute you on this 4th of July holiday. Here's a look at our Mercedes-Benz starting lineups. First for the floundering Florida Marlins, Chris Coghlan, Gabby Sanchez, Hanley Ramirez, 1, 2, and 3. Jorge Cantu and Cody Ross sandwich Dan Uggla, who's been hot of late. Emilio Bonifacio, Brett Hayes, and Ricky Nolasco, the lower third for the Fighting Fish.
And Tim Hudson on the mound for the Braves. He is 8-3 on the year, 8-2 in his lifetime against the Florida Marlins with a 2.99 ERA. That includes a start on May 27th when he got no decision. He got knocked out of the game because of a rain delay. Went 4 innings, gave up a couple of runs, but has always pitched well against the Marlins and loves pitching at Turner Field.
And Chris Coghlan will be the first opponent for Hudson today. And he starts with a strike.
4 keys to pitching success for Tim Hudson today. He is a veteran, and he needs that veteran focus. And the reason for that, in my opinion, Tom, is that sometimes you win the first 2 games of a series and you kind of relax a little bit, think you can just kind of cruise into the road trip, and he needs to make sure that doesn't happen. And the shadows will creep across the field as we go along. They will be his friend.
A ball and 2 strikes to Chris Coghlan, the Marlins left fielder. Boy, he started in a real rut. Rookie of the year last year, Chris Coghlan, his batting average was in the low 200s after the first month of the season, but he's been hitting like crazy since, and now batting leadoff for the Fish. And on the appeal, he stays alive, 2-2.
Drastic improvement and more Rookie of the Year like in the month of June.
And right off the left foot will send Coghlan walking to try to get a feeling back in that right toe.
Always a good way to start the game right there.
Off the back foot. He's one of the few guys. Well, they've got several guys hitting the ball pretty good right now, but got his knee.
Knee.
Yeah.
See more and more of that now. Hardly ever saw that before.
And that's what the Marlins are seeing a lot more of. Coghlan with a sharply hit single leads off the game with the first base hit. Different looking Atlanta defense in the outfield. Good to see Matt Diaz back in a starting role with Gregor Blanco and Melky Cabrera joining him. Eric Hinsky in at first with Gloss still hobbling with a sore knee. Prado Escobar, Brooks Conrad for Chipper Jones, and Brian McCann working behind the plate. Here's Gabby Sanchez, the Florida first baseman.
Bill Miller behind the plate today is a guy that gives you a quick call. You know right away if it's a strike.
Always like that. And Gabby Sanchez The highest batting average among National League rookies at .309. Has more multi-hit games than any other National League rookie, 26 of those. More total bases, more hits, more doubles. Higher on base percentage than Jason Hayward. This guy's making a legitimate run at the Rookie of the Year honors in the National League. Hinsky over near the Braves dugout will not have a play. And the count to Sanchez now, 0-2.
As much as we'd all, as Braves fans, love to say, well, it's the Jason Hayward show for Rookie of the Year, you know, over and done with. It's not. Guys like Gabi Sanchez and Amy Garcia of the Cardinals are not going quietly. They've had good first halves, and no reason to think that they won't keep it up. David Freese of the Cardinals, another guy, but I think he's on the disabled list at the moment, like Jason.
You could throw Ike Davis in that conversation, too. When he joined the Mets, they started taking off, so that's going to be a great race, too. And first strikeout of the day for Hudson, retires Sanchez. And this is a Marlins club that is a free-swinging bunch.
There might be a pitcher in Washington that might have something to say about that, too, at the end of the year.
Yeah, I would venture to say he'll be, if he hasn't already, entering that race.
Yeah, I like Drew Storen a lot. Now we're talking about Strasburg, of course, who was not, by the way, named to the National League All-Star squad today by Charlie Manuel. And we'll have a rundown of all the National League All-Stars as they were announced today. The Braves extremely well represented, as you heard Fred and Ronnie talk on Braves Live a moment ago. Ground ball on the first pitch by Handy Ramirez. And now the Marlins 2 on with 1 out.
Just to spot a little bit.
Yeah, a little bit. You know, and typically, too, with Hanley, he's very aggressive early in the count. I'm sure Tim, knowing that, wanting to go sinker away, trying to do some ground ball. But, yeah, that one caught a lot more of the plate and was up a lot more than he wanted.
Yesterday, one of the things that was part of the success for Tommy Hanson was a lot of first pitch strikes, too. That may be part of Tim's strategy today.
Here's Jorge Cantu, the Marlins' third baseman, with 10 homers.
Yeah, the first pitch strike's always a good idea as long as it's not too good of a strike.
And as long as you understand that guys like Dan Uggla are hitting about 600 on the first pitch. Brian McCann in that category, too.
So far, Hudson a perfect 4 for 4 with first pitch strikes. And he's thrown a lot of second pitch strikes, too. Now let's see if he can finish off Cantu. 0-2 the count.
Fox Track says Bill Miller, thank you very much.
Both Cantu and the man on deck, Dan Uggla, have had good luck against Hudson. Would love a ground ball here. And he'll get it. Slowly hit out towards second. And the runners move up with 2 outs. Ball not hit hard enough to turn 2, but it does retire Cantu. Ramirez to second, Coghlan to third for Dan Uggla.
Now, this is a case, first base open, where a guy's coming to the plate. He's a dangerous hitter. He's a hot hitter. He's also a guy who's hit Hudson pretty well. Did that enter your mind as to what your alternative was, Tommy, with respect to a guy's success against you on deck?
Yes, yes, and yes. All of those things. When you know a guy like this, number one, he's had success. Number two, he's aggressive. And the guy on deck hasn't had success. All that will factor into what he tries to do right here. And you know, a lot of times in this situation as a pitcher, you know he's number one, first and foremost, you know that Uggla's an aggressive hitter. So you're you're taking the approach, it's 0-2 the minute he steps in the box. So you're going to try and get him to try and chase something and get himself out. And if he doesn't, then you fall back on knowing you've had success against the guy on deck.
The inside corner has been generous early. Let's see if Tim can exploit that with the count even now.
Bill Miller, very consistent.
Pitch was in the same spot as the last one.
That's Cody Ross. He would hit next. Braves won game 1 of this series 4-3 in 11 innings. They won 4-1 yesterday. And it's 2-2. Ugla doesn't think that pitch is a strike.
Check it out, Fox Tracks. No, Fox Tracks is just stuck.
Got to reset it.
Yeah, Bill Miller's calling the right pitch. The machine's just stuck.
Will he go there again with a 2-2 count? Mike Riley at first says no swing. And Ugla forces a 3-2 pitch. Coughlin at third. Hanley Ramirez, an all-star, standing at second. First base open for Hudson and a 3-2 pitch. Back up the middle, off the leg of Hudson and into right field, and that's going to score 2. Tim couldn't get the glove down. Ugla with a ricochet shot into right field gives Florida a first inning lead.
Well, he made a good pitch. Was trying to get the out, but didn't get the glove in front of his shin quick enough. I don't know, guys. Even if that ball gets past him, doesn't hit him, gets into center field, it's going to score 2 anyway. It's too bad it didn't ricochet right to Hinsky.
Yeah, that or somehow found Tim's glove.
Yeah.
So 48 RBIs for Braves killer Dan Ugla. And Cody Ross the batter. And takes a little low. Ross just 2 for 12 against Tim. Lifetime.
Cody went a little heavy on the mascara today.
Maybe he's a big Bryce Harper fan.
Maybe a little overkill there.
Man.
A little?
Like Dan and Cody put each other's eye black on today. One was probably looking at the other going, I'm going to put so much on there, he'll never know.
Yeah, right. No mirrors.
Yeah.
Maybe it was the end of the tube and they didn't want to pack it for the next part of the trip. So,
yeah. You're on a long trip, man. Started in San Juan, here in Atlanta, then to L.A. and Arizona. That's a nice schedule for Florida. Or Conrad knocks it down, scrambles, fires, Hinsky off the bag with the tag. Good play. Brooks Conrad handling the hot corner for Chipper ends the Marlins first. Florida strikes for 2 first-inning runs. A bad bounce off the leg of Tim Hudson brings home the first 2 runs of today's 4th of July festivities. And our broadcast on Fox Sports South presented in beautiful high def by H.H. Gregg. Braves with a 3-game lead in the East. Feature this Mercedes-Benz starting lineup. And a new look at the top with Martin Prado, Gregor Blanco, and Brooks Conrad first, second, and third. McCann, Hinsky, and Melky the middle of the attack with Escobar, Matt Diaz, a Marlins killer, and Tim Hudson hitting 8th and 9th. And a wake-up call for Martin Prado from Ricky Nolasco.
Nolasco, 27 years old, 6'2", 230, out of Corona, California. Started off great. Lately, not so good. Even though he's won his last 2 starts, he's given up a lot of runs early in the games.
And another leadoff hit for Prado. 116 hits this year.
Four keys to pitching success for Ricky Nolasco. Long balls. Boy, he's got to cut down on those. He's given up 19 home runs this year, 13 to right-handed hitters. And while he has been proclaimed as a big game pitcher, he needs to be a stopper today, because on this road trip, things could really turn sour for the Marlins. They desperately need a win before they head west on this lengthy road trip.
Yeah, seven times this year he's given up multiple home runs in a start.
Blanco with a bunt, and it's a good one. Nolasco never got to the bag, and Blanco in with a head-first dive.
How much better can this guy play? I loved what Gregor said today in the paper when asked about his big hit yesterday. He said, you know, I learned a lot watching Martin, and how Martin has gone from a guy who was on the bench, had to do the little things right to get in the lineup, and I'm trying to do the same thing. Great job.
And just as you guys predicted, Nolasco already in first-inning trouble after getting a 2-0 lead.
Get them now, because when those shadows start creeping across, it'll get much tougher to hit.
Here's Brooks Conrad at 269.
Love it. Got Brooks in there today. You can bunt even with a 3-hole hitter to try to get those runs back.
Gregor Blanco with 16 hits. Now has 5 infield hits for the Braves. And the count now even at a ball and a strike. Brian Snitker, the Braves' third base coach, already flirting with the shadows that we've talked about at the start of the game.
Yeah, I think those shadows got Gabby Sanchez on Prado's base hit. He never moved on that ball. I don't think he saw it.
Might have. Ricky Nolasco's numbers against the Braves have improved over the last couple of years, but back in 2008, Atlanta just wore him out. He had an ERA over 10. Last year got off to a bad start with the Marlins. They even sent him back to AAA, but came back strong, and 7-game winner so far this year.
Now it's 2-2. Now, one thing about Nolasco is, yeah, he'll give up his share of home runs, but you'd have to guess that most of them are solo shots. He does not walk many people. Only 18 walks in nearly 100 innings to start this season for the Marlins. And now a 2-2 pitch. It's outside. Boy, how he held up, I don't know.
Like a good pitch, too.
Oh, they didn't check. I don't know.
Well, there's some chip that would say he throws too many strikes given the number of home runs he gives up. Fox Tracks. Yep, there it is right there. Same place.
Hitter was in the wrong side of the box.
That's it. There you go. How about that? We talk about no walks, and he just walked the bases loaded. And Randy St. Clair wearing out a path to the mound in this series, out for his first chat with Nolasco.
Randy St. Clair is the only guy in the dugout with any major league experience coaching or managing at the big league level. Randy, of course, longtime pitching coach in the Expos and Nationals organization and a good pitching coach. But with the firing of Freddie Gonzalez, the firing of Carlos Tosca, the bench coach, and Jim Presley, the hitting coach, and the resignation of Dave Collins, their first base coach and outfield coach, everybody that was promoted came from their organization, either roving instructors, in the case of Edwin Rodriguez, their AAA manager. No one knows anything about the National League and the opponents. They may know their own team pretty well because of the guys that played for them in the minor leagues, but they don't know anything about the Braves, their tendencies, Bobby Cox's tendencies, or L.A. or Arizona coming up for that matter either. Very difficult situation to be in.
Here's Brian McCann. Speaking of difficult, Nolasco, bases loaded, nobody out. 1. And the other part of that is, obviously, Joe, there's a ripple effect within the Marlins organization. Your AAA manager takes over at the big league club. Somebody's got to manage New Orleans.
I think Braves fans will remember him. Greg Norton is now the manager in AAA for the Marlins. He had been their AAA hitting coach.
And frankly speaking, the way things work in Miami, Greg, you might want to have an apartment on speed dial in Miami.
Stay ready.
How about Brian McCann? 5th time he's elected the All-Star team. What is he, 19 years old?
Yeah. No, he acts 19 years old.
Yeah, that's pretty good. As far as I know, what I heard, there's only 2 catchers on the National League All-Star team at this point. He and Molina from the Cardinals.
Well, they got Omar. He can play everywhere.
They got that right.
Of course, I don't think Bobby wants to see him behind the plate.
Chased a high fastball. There's the first out.
Max had some good numbers against Nolasco, but you got him to chase that high hard.
So Eric Hinske making his 8th start of the year for the Braves at first base today. Hitting .284 with 5 home runs. He's 0 for 7 in the series to this point. Prado, Blanco, Conrad all reached to start the game. And now the Braves doing what they do so well, Tommy, and that's work the count.
Yeah, they've done a phenomenal job of that. I mean, we talked about it back in spring training. We talked about it all year. I mean, they've really established themselves as a team this year, as the kind of team coming in that you know as a starting pitcher, they're going to make you work. Which, you know, for so many Braves teams, especially the ones I played on, that wasn't our formula. We were a very aggressive hitting team. You know, went up there looking for good pitches, but if you got your pitch early in the count, you guys were hammering it, and it was successful, obviously. But this team is really, they remind me so much of so many of the teams that the Yankees put on the field in the days that you just knew you were going to pitch and you were going to get in the 5th or the 6th inning and you were going to be approaching 100 pitches no matter what.
And then you factor in that the Braves have been hitting everybody's bullpen all year. Makes this a very difficult offense to work against, I would think.
That, and as we alluded to in the opener, their penchant for the dramatic hits and the comeback wins. And I mean, it's just, you know, coming in here as a pitching staff, you've got your work cut out.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
Trying to throw, even though he fell behind 2-0, he's trying to throw Eric a lot of off-speed stuff. Jammed him a little bit with a cutter, 2-0, but since then it's been off-speed changeup or breaking ball. And maybe because they've found something with Eric that works, because he's only 1 for 17 against them this year.
Swing and a high fly ball hit deep to right field. Ross on the track is going to have room. That will score Prado. Blanco moves to third, and Hinske just missed. He gets one of the runs back.
Boy, I'd say it scared everybody, but no one as much as it scared Ricky Nolasco.
Yeah, his heart skipped a beat right there, I'm sure.
He's happy to back up.
But it's an RBI for Hinske, his 32nd, and now Melky Cabrera the batter. Talking about dramatic hits, Melky with 11 2-out runs batted in this year. That's 11 of his 23. Breaking ball beaten into the ground, and Dan Uggla will retire the side. The Braves load the bases with nobody out and settle for 1. And that's the Marlins lead as we head to the second. One late, and the MLB Authentic Collection caps worn by the players and coaches are also available for sale to the public at MLB.com. Major League Baseball Properties will donate all of the proceeds it receives to welcome back veterans, and MLB.com will make an additional donation. Since 2008, Welcome Back Veterans has awarded over $8 million in grants to nonprofit agencies targeting veterans and their families. First pitch out off the bat of Emilio Bonifacio starts the floor to second.
Well, this weather's great, isn't it, guys? I mean, I woke up this morning about 70 degrees, 85 at game time here. This is awesome.
Yeah, you couldn't ask for much better this time of year.
How about the pregame ceremony today? Giant American flag unfurled. Great rendition of the national anthem. We had a flyover today from Vance Air Force Base. 275 airmen from Moody Air Force Base unfurled the flag, and the Yacht Rock Review musical group.
Great job. Yeah. Vance Air Force Base, I think that's in Oklahoma.
Tapper off the bat of Brett Hayes, foul, 0-2 to him.
Took him like 10 minutes to get here.
Yeah. Supersonic speeds.
There's Lovey with his annual 4th of July attire. Jim Lovell, Star Spangled Out.
Brett Hayes giving Ronnie Paulino a day off. Hits that ball hard, but on the warning track, he is retired in straightaway center. 2 up and 2 down. Be there for your hometown Braves. They take on the Brewers and the Padres July 15th through the 22nd. Get your tickets now for the first games of the season's unofficial second half by calling 800-745-3000 or buy them online at braves.com/tickets. And the reason it's the unofficial start is today is game number 82. For the Atlanta Ball Club.
That way it just makes the second half seem faster.
Yes. It's funny how this year's flown by, too.
It has gone by fast.
Here we are. It's already the 4th of July. Braves are rolling along, 3 games up in the East. And so far, this club's overcome just about everything you can. They've had injuries. They've had talk of retirement. They've had a 9-game losing streak. They've had winless road trips. Yet here they are, best record in baseball after that 9-game losing streak that they suffered.
Yeah, but since Chipper quit, he's hit .315. So, you know, if a couple more guys start talking about it, be all right.
Two balls, 2 strikes to the Marlins pitcher Ricky Nolasco, who's hitting $148. And Ricky's making Tim work in this second inning.
Need to get him out, get him right back out there on the mound and put him to work again. Mets won today. Phillies lost. How about the Pirates? They're playing good baseball.
Good pitch from Hudson. That's his second strikeout. And a 1-2-3 second. Indeed, will send Nolasco back to the center of the diamond ahead by a run.
Friday, your division-leading Braves face the New York Mets in a midseason battle for first place. Braves, Mets, Friday at 6:30 on Sports South.
Final game of this homestand for Atlanta. They go back to work down a run here in the second inning with the lower third coming up. And one more road trip before the All-Star game, and it's coming up in Philly and in New York, and that is our AirTran Airways upcoming road trip.
Philly's really missing a lot of key players, too, as you see 3 guys out of their lineup, and that is huge. The Mets are playing good baseball, and especially at home, and David Wright is red hot. He's going to be a force to contend with over the weekend.
Yeah, the Mets playing as good in their home as the Braves are here at Turner Field.
A little bit of a turnaround from last year, right? They were complaining about that place last year.
Here's Escobar. Yunel hitting .400 against Florida pitching this year. And here's the Eastern Division race up to the minute. The Mets, with their win over the Nationals, now within 2.5 games. Phillies 5.5 back. And Hanley Ramirez at short for out number 1. Here's Matt Diaz. He's been a Marlins killer in his career. And a chance for Matt to pick up some at-bats, Joe, before that Phillies series, which will feature Cole Hamels and Jamie Moyer in games 2 and 3.
And hopefully he's a Phillies killer in that series. But a 385 mark, you're right, Chip. 385 in his career against Florida. 8 homers, 24 RBIs in 51 games.
And the count to him, even a ball and a strike. He and the Marlins manager go way back, don't they?
Yeah. Yeah, actually, I think that was Matt's first manager in pro ball. Edwin Rodriguez in rookie ball for the Tampa Bay, at that time, Devil Rays. He was teammates with Jorge Cantu and Eric Hinsky.
Not a bad group. 2 balls and a strike. And now 2 and 2. Matt, as you know, has missed a lot of time with an infected thumb, an infection that required surgery. And for a Braves club that at times has had trouble with left-handed starters opposing them, it would be a welcome addition. And that ball lined into right center field. That's going to get down. Bonifacio can't get it. Diaz will stand at second with a 1-out double.
When you've been out as long as Matt has, and you get that first hit, you kind of get that off your back a little bit. What a great feeling it is, especially when he hits it to right center.
I was going to say, when you're trying to get your way back in there and feel comfortable, there's no better way to do it than drive a ball into the gap and to the opposite field. I know that's something that they're always looking for Matty to do more of, and to see him do it against a right-hander is a pretty thing.
Now Tim Hudson bats, and he's had an excellent year at the plate. Tim's hitting .257 this year. Pickoff play, and Diaz safely back.
Laser Baker looked it up for me on David Wright. I said he's been hot. That's an understatement. Last 2 weeks, he's hit .463, 7 doubles, 2 homers.
That's a real change, Joe. When we first saw the Mets, remember how badly Wright was struggling, striking out a lot, not driving in runs.
Really swinging at a lot of bad pitches early in the count.
So what better way to finish the first half than head-to-head with the top 2 teams chasing you in the division?
Couple of good swings from Tim there on fastballs, but a little late.
And now you see the shadows all the way across home plate. Beautiful breaking ball, and Tim flinched. That's the second strikeout for the Marlins right-hander. And Martin Prado hits with 2 out. What a day for this Braves organization, guys. 5 All-Stars named to the National League squad today.
And Martin will get the start at second base in place of Chase Utley, who was voted in by the fans but is injured.
Prado bounces to Ugla. And that will retire the side. No runs, a hit, a man left. Third inning, still a 2-1 Florida game.
In first place with the senior leadership of Chipper Jones and Jason Hayward knocking the cover off the ball, I expect to get a World Series trophy for Bobby Cox his last season.
I want to say hello to all my family and friends, especially my son Junior. I've been tomahawk chopping since 1981. Go Chipper Jones. Good luck, Bobby Cox. We love you.
How cool is that, huh?
Tell you what, you put some fatigues on Billy Wagner. The first guy was Billy Wagner.
Really?
Yeah. Talks like him.
Yeah?
Mm-hmm. Had the little mustache. Sometimes you see with Billy when he's got his goatee going.
All that serviceman needed was a pair of cowboy boots and a 10-gallon hat, right?
Billy's still got a chance to make the All-Star team.
That's right.
Got to vote, though. He's one of 5 guys that are on the bubble, we shall say, where fans can still vote. You can go to MLB.com or Braves.com and vote, and there's no limit on how much you can vote.
He says this is his last year. I mean, would it be a fitting way to send him out? Send him out an All-Star.
Well, again, if you look at managing the game like you're trying to win it, I'm sure Charlie Manuel will try to do that. As Coughlin down on strikes, 3 of those for Hudson. The National League, as it's composed right now, guys, has only one left-handed relief pitcher. That's Arthur Rhodes, who at the age of 40 makes his first All-Star team, and this is 19th season.
I put him right there with Infante. I think that's a great selection because in the past it's either been a starter, you've either been a starter or closer as a pitcher that makes the team, not a setup guy. So congratulations to Arthur, who's been outstanding for the last 2 or 3 years with Cincinnati.
Gabby Sanchez broke his bat. And a quick start for Hudson, 2 outs. There is a new rule for the All-Star game this year, and that involves the starting pitchers who've been selected. I believe if you pitch the final Sunday, you are ineligible to pitch during the All-Star game, so there will be probably replacement pitchers named for starters like Halladay or Lincecum or Hudson if he were to pitch the final Sunday.
What are Lincecum's numbers? I was a little bit surprised to see him chosen. Has he been that good?
Got a good ERA.
Well, he's not in the top 10 in ERA. He's not in the top 10 in wins in the National League as Hanley flies to left. Diaz going back with the ball carrying well, and he'll make the catch. That's one of the other fun things about the All-Star situation. It's fun to argue about. And we'll do that for you when we come back for the third. Bottom of the third inning, the 2, 3, 4 spots coming up for the Braves against right-hander Ricky Nolasco, and tickets to the Braves Hall of Fame luncheon and induction of Tom Glavine on Friday, August 6th at the Omni Hotel at CNN Center are going fast. Call today to reserve your spot for what will be the largest crowd in Braves Hall of Fame history. How about that, Tommy? For info, call 404-614-2310.
I was going to say, there's still tickets left? I mean,
well, you haven't.
I thought my family and friends took them all.
I was just going to say, how many did you buy?
Yeah, where's Joe's and my set of 4? But we're thrilled for you. What a wonderful and well-deserved honor on August 6th. Got the speech written?
You know what's funny? I was just thinking about that the other day. I guess I better start preparing for that.
Folks here at Turner Field better start preparing for a few more spaces up.
It's going to get crowded up there.
That left field line.
Where do you want to be? Where would you like to be? Up there somewhere near 31?
I'm going to be on the outside corner somewhere, don't I?
Hey, I like that. Very good. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Well, you got a choice. You could be on the corner near Maddox or right by the cow.
I'd rather go near Greg, I think.
Off the plate to Blanco. 3 balls, 2 strikes.
I'll tell you what we can do. Keep panning, fellas. Keep going, keep going, keep going. Okay, stop. Let's see how this goes. Right there. Yeah, I think that's it.
Yeah, looks good. I like it.
So 404-614-2310. Join us at the Omni Hotel at Sunset Center. And Alasko with a good fastball strikes out Gregor Blanco for out number 1.
I don't think it's going to be too fun for these guys hitting for about the next 30 minutes or so. Those shadows are not going to be too friendly.
No, and as a hitter, the worst part for me was the shadow that comes right across here, where the pitcher was still in sunlight, but the traveling of the baseball to the plate was all in shadows. You just can't see the ball out of his hand.
Is that something you think about on the mound?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely you do. And I'm sure, that was part of the game plan in the first inning, was trying to get those runs back so that you wouldn't be trying to play catch up and fight in the shadows and doing all that stuff. But, yeah, absolutely. As a pitcher, you're trying to use that to your advantage. You're trying to get in that strike zone and be more aggressive.
Some players who shall remain anonymous said to me today, those who schedule 5 o'clock starts have never tried to hit at 5 or 6 o'clock.
Popped up, shallow right center field. That might drop. But a fine running catch by Cody Ross for the second out. Here's Brian McCann. Brian struck out with the bases loaded for the first out of the Braves' first. And he will be headed to Anaheim as a National League All-Star reserve. Behind the Cardinals' Yadier Molina.
How many All-Star teams did you make?
10, I think.
A bunch.
Yeah.
Think about or address. It's kind of hard here with 2 outs. We may have to carry this over. Braves are going on a week-long road trip, and then the break comes. So the guys who make the team are going to have to travel from New York to Anaheim and then back to Atlanta. That's some packing and preparation that goes into that, huh?
Yeah, there is, and they'll be worn out by the time they get back here on Thursday.
2 balls and a strike. In years past, the Braves have gotten an extra day off during the All-Star break, and that is that Thursday you're talking about. No such luck this year for the fearsome fivesome headed west. Braves will open up with Milwaukee on July 15th here at home. There's a liner in the right center field. That one will get down.
With this inning, you have, I think, what amounts to some shadow results. Blanco struck out. Conrad got jammed and hit a little soft fly ball that was caught. And Brian got jammed here, too. Couldn't get around the ball. Probably picked it up a little too late. And it dropped in for a hit, fortunately for him. So some signs that the shadows are affecting the hitters already.
Eric Hinske drove the ball to right that looked like at contact had a chance to be a grand slam, but the ball just seemed to die out there in right field. It turned into a sac fly, but Eric was looking for a lot more than that.
Yeah, it looked a lot more productive coming off the bat.
One ball, one strike.
What a day. Concert after the game, big fireworks show to follow that. Best fastball of the day right there from Alasko, 94.
But he missed with it, and Eric ahead in the count.
Box tracks. Hey, all right, somebody thumped it.
Does that work at your house? Stuff gets broken, you just...
Yeah.
Well, that's the first step you take, isn't it? Hit it, to see if it comes back on.
That's Kathy's job, and she's good at it. Swift little kick or something.
Yeah.
McCann a short lead with 2 outs and a 2-2 count.
If kicking it doesn't work, then you wait till Saturday. You call the home fix-it guy Saturday morning on the radio and say, hey, how do I fix this?
And he says,
call a plumber.
He says, kicking it works pretty good.
Right. And at bat continues for the Braves first baseman Eric Hinske.
Well, we've seen Nolasco this inning rear back and fire his best fastballs, and more than likely because of the inability of the hitters to see very well.
Breaking ball, foul at first.
I've been talking about how exciting it is to have all these good young players in the National League East, talking about Strasburg, Stanton, Ike Davis, and, of course, Jason Hayward. And we got to put Gabby Sanchez in there, too, with what he's doing. Certainly some good young players that are fun to watch and worth the price of admission to come see play in the big leagues.
McCann's running. And another foul ball from Hinske. I guess you could say Gabby Sanchez is their Jason Hayward. He's a Miami kid. Playing now for the team in Miami. And having a terrific run. That's going to be, as we said, a real fun race to watch for the Rookie of the Year honors. Strasburg gets a lot of attention, justifiably so. Ike Davis plays in New York. That's a huge advantage. And the ninth pitch to Hinske of this at-bat is in the dirt. Full count.
Yeah, I think the one advantage that Jason had on all those guys was the pub that he had going into and coming out of spring training. That certainly kind of solidified him in the as the early leader coming out, and the rest of those guys who kind of had to play their way in.
Hitting a home run his first at bat helped a little too.
Yeah. Runner goes. Pitch swung on and missed. And Eric Hinske is down on strikes, and that will retire the side. 2-1, Florida the lead as we go to the fourth. AT&T, by Dodge, and by Geico. Beautiful day in Atlanta. 2-1 is our score as we head to the fourth inning with Joe Simpson and Tom Glavine. I'm Chip Carey, and we invite you to join us for a money and energy-saving bright idea from Georgia Power. Set your thermostat to 78 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer. Go to GeorgiaPower.com for more energy-saving tips. Georgia Power is a Southern company. And what works for the goose should work for the gander here. Tim Hudson now has those shadows to work with, and he's already set down the last 7 Florida hitters. This guy might be one of the best players that the casual fan knows nothing about.
He can hit, I'll tell you what. He playing in Florida, obviously, like I said, he doesn't get a ton of attention, but boy, oh boy, it'd be nice to have in the middle of your lineup.
He can play first, he can play third, and Joe, he was a middle infielder coming up, was he not?
When he had the great year at Tampa Bay, he was playing second base. I think he drove in 115, 120 runs playing second.
Tim really jammed him, and that's popped up to Yunel Escobar at short. 1 out.
I think you're going to see a lot more jam shots, broken bats, and what have you until maybe for the next 45 minutes to an hour, until somehow the shadows move on across. That was what, to me, one of the most amazing things I've seen all year was earlier in this homestand when there was an early game and Chipper turned around a 100-mile-an-hour fastball from Joel Zamaya in the shadows for that 3-run homer. It's incredible.
Here's Ugla. He has the decisive at-bat in the game so far. That was a bouncing ball up the middle that deflected off Hudson and into right field that scored 2. And that ball spins foul to even the count. 48 RBIs for Dan Ugla. And now a 5-game hitting streak. Kind of odd not seeing Ugla on the All-Star list, huh?
Yeah, how many has he made? Made quite a few, obviously, but
poor guy a couple of years ago had a bad experience, so he made a couple, 3 errors after going in as a defensive replacement. Remember that? I think that was at Yankee Stadium.
Maybe he declined an invitation to go.
He may have.
Well, this guy's a quality hitter, and if you believe everything you read on the internet, the rumor mill, this is a guy that may have some value at the deadline if the Marlins decide to sell, because he can do that. He has plenty of pop. And Dan Ugla drives one over the fence in left center field for his 16th home run. A 3 RBI game puts Florida in front by a 3-1 score.
Like a hanger, Tommy. Even in the shadows, you can see hangers.
Yeah, you get fooled. You can still get the head of the bat on the ball a little bit. Yeah, it looked like a slider that didn't slide very much.
And so with that home run, Ugla now is 1 behind Miguel Cabrera for second place on the Marlins list. 4 home runs. That's his 137th as a member of the Florida club. And it gives Nolasco now a 2-run lead. Good pitch. 1 ball, 1 strike to Cody Ross.
It's the 9th home run allowed by Tim on the year. And remember, a couple of starts ago in Chicago, Carlos Quentin hit a couple of homers off of him. That was the difference in the game.
Brooks Conrad cuts it off at third. So Ross rolls out to third base for the second time. Base is clear for Bonifacio, who flat out on the only pitch he has seen today. Bonifacio hitting just 176 in limited time.
One of the things that his speed does to a team, though, just the threat of his speed, is that it forces all the infielders to shorten up. Escobar, Prado have to come in 2 or 3 steps from where they would normally play with 2 out. Not really expecting him to bunt as much as just if he hits the ball on the ground, you got to get to it quickly to throw him out.
Because the ball will get to you quickly on this infield. This is one of the fastest infields in the National League. One ball, 2 strikes. Joe mentioned the Phillies lost. Pittsburgh beat them 8-5 today. The Mets beat the Nationals 9-5 today. And Bonifacio is down swinging. A solo home run from Dan Uggla. Part of a 3 RBI day for the Marlins' second sacker. To the bottom of the 4th we go. 3-1. Florida's in front. Bottom part of the order coming up for the Braves now. 3-1 is our score here at Turner Field, and we invite you to join us and Miller High Life this summer and help give returning vets a piece of the high life. Go to MillerHighLife.com for details.
High Life Light, huh? I have to check that out. Champagne, a bottle of beer, remember?
That's exactly right. Melky Cabrera, the batter, bounced out to end the Braves first. Or as my granddad used to say, how do they make them so cheap but taste so good? Generous outside corner, 0-2. Looks like it's a swing the bat kind of day, fellas. Nothing wrong with that.
Need more of those.
Fly ball to right, pretty well hit, but Ross has that one measured up. And Cody puts it away for out number 1.
Hard for those guys to see, too. It's like Tom said, first batter of the ball game when it didn't appear that Sanchez saw the base hit by Prado. The batter is standing in the shadow now, so it's very hard for the outfielder, especially Ross in the sunshine, battling the sun, to be able to see the ball off the bat clearly.
That's why he has that extra eye black on for just that situation.
There must be something for that. I don't know.
Escobar bats. He's 0 for 1 with a grounder to short.
He's auditioning for Housewives of New Jersey. I don't know. One or the other.
I like Tommy's explanation better. Bottom of the tube with the eye black. It's a long trip. All that extra weight for the airplane.
She's trying to save the trainers a little extra packing.
Ugla went heavy, too. See, but Matt Diaz has the little iron-on tight.
Inside corner, strike 3. Escobar is down on 3 pitches, and that's the 5th strikeout for Nolasco.
Sherwin-Williams painting the corners here on Fox Tracks, and you know what? Maybe it's a little off the plate, but he has been calling that pitch since the first inning.
He hasn't missed one in there. Every one of them he's called.
Yep.
By the strict interpretation of what Fox Track says, it may not be a strike, but today it is, and it's been consistently called.
See, Matt's got those iron-on eye black things, doesn't he?
Yes.
Down the right field line. Ross, a long run. Cannot get there. Iron on.
Well, they stick on.
Oh.
Smoltz would iron them on. Yeah. Everybody else just sticks them on. But I guarantee you, if it was the bottom of the tube and for the Braves, they're not going on the field like that with Bobby. He's going to make the trainers pack the rest of it.
That's all you need. That's all you need. That's going a little share on everybody right there. Kiss. Thanks, Dave.
Share, kiss, same thing.
That one was inside. 1 ball and 2 strikes.
Those guys might miss the bus having to get that eye black off. It's going to take them so long.
And he overpowered him with a good live fastball. That one at 96. And Nolasco is dealing, and he's got a 3-1 lead. Top of the fifth as the Marlins enjoy a 3-1 lead. Hayes, Nolasco, and Coughlin coming up. Tim's been a strike-throwing machine. He's fired 58 pitches, 42 of them have found the strike zone. But Dan Uggla, 2 hits, 3 RBIs, the difference maker so far. And this one chopped toward third, and it will skip foul. 0-2.
And you see Hayes jogging back to the plate. Friday night, Dan Uggla hit one similar to that just rolled foul, and he walked all the way back to home plate, and I mean the Atlanta fans booed him big time. He was actually kind of looking around like there was something on the big screen, like what happened? What's up?
Hayes in for Paulino behind the plate. Ronnie had caught 25 games in a row for them. Conrad robs him again. What a play.
Terrific play. I'm not sure that Escobar, if he's the guy that has to field it, has a chance to throw him out. Nicely done.
Brooks got a little something on that throw. A strong arm.
Nolasco hits. 1. As we expected, pitchers have had the better of it with the hitters. Hudson struck out 4 Marlins. Nolasco has struck out 6 Braves.
This is kind of the scouting report we got on Nolasco, though. Very typical that he has some first inning or 2 troubles, then kind of settles into a groove. And that's what's happened his last 2 starts. Even though he's won both of them, he's given up a bunch of runs early and had to have his teammates bail him out.
Wow. How about that pitch? That's almost unfair to do that to another pitcher, isn't it, Tommy? Come on.
No, it's not. It's not unfair.
It's a big old sweeper.
Yeah.
Sherwin-Williams painting.
Took a little something off that one.
Yeah. Didn't have to paint that corner.
So 2 out for Chris Coughlin.
Got a Lady Liberty rally going on in the concourse, and
well, I hate to tell you
Mount
this,
Rushmore.
They're not all ladies.
The guy with his face stuck through the picture of Mount Rushmore right there. I like that. The Lincoln Memorial.
Uncle Sam's doing all right too, isn't he?
That is excellent. As I heard another member of your family say once, can't beat fun at the old ballpark.
Yes. Even Pocahontas made it to the game. 2 balls and a strike. Now 3-1 to Coughlin.
What was Chief Nakahoma's better half? What was her name?
Princess Winalada.
I don't remember her.
Oh, you got to be a crafty old veteran, Tommy, to remember Chief Nakahoma and the teepee.
I remember the Chief. I remember the teepee. Perhaps it was because when I was first entering into the organization, there wasn't a lot of Winaladas going on.
That's a good point.
She didn't make a lot of appearances.
I miss the Chief, man. Go out and do the ceremonial dance on the mound, raise his hands to the heavens, and then sprint to left. Prado off balance. God, Coughlin, who took an awkward step. And that will retire the side. We head to the bottom of the 5th inning. Tim Hudson will start things off. He'll try to help himself. It's a 3-1 Florida game.
here in Camp Leatherneck, Afghanistan. Even though I was born in the Bronx, raised in Yonkers, New York, and I'm a Met fan my whole life, I want to make a special shout out to you, Coach Cox. It's not going to be the same beating the Braves without you here. You're a class act, and we're going to miss you.
Wow, a little smack from Gunnery Sergeant Will Price, huh?
Pretty nice, though. I mean, even a lowly Mets fan has to respect the fact that Bobby Cox is the man.
So funny to hear people refer to baseball coaches as Coach Cox.
Yes, they are the managers.
Call me Bobby, call me Skipper, call me Skip. Just don't call me Coach.
Yeah, coaches love it when you call him Coach.
No balls and a strike to Tim Hudson. Shadows have now almost reached the cut of the infield grass between first and second now. Pitcher and batter mostly in shadows, except for that one strip that's right down the third base line. And Tim is retired. 7 strikeouts for Nolasco. And time to check out our quote of the day, brought to you by Geico. On learning about the All-Star game, Omar Infante said that.
It's outstanding. When my phone rang at 8:30 this morning and the caller ID said Frank Wren, I thought I'd been traded. I was really nervous, very shook up. When Frank told me, I thought he was joking, but it is a great honor.
Could you imagine?
Oh, I can absolutely imagine how he was feeling. I mean, why would you expect to be getting a call from your general manager at 8:30 in the morning on a Sunday when you don't play till 5 in the afternoon?
Right, and the fact that utility guys never get picked for the All-Star game. That was the last thing on his mind, I'm sure.
Walking into the clubhouse today, when I learned that Omar Infante had made the All-Star game, he had an ear-to-ear grin, as you'd expect. And when the man in the batter's box, Martin Prado, walked in with his suit and tie, standing ovation from his teammates in the locker room. I mean, guys were watching the highlight shows, watching some of the early afternoon games that were going on. Everybody stopped what they were doing and applauded the year that this guy's had.
Well, and I think for Martin, obviously everybody likes him. He's a great guy, but I think it's an appreciation for what he's gone through, the process he's gone through to make himself the player that he is. Guys appreciate that.
I was just going to say, just think where he's come from and how hard he's worked to get there. That's a great thing. And he's a guy, when you stand around the batting cage before a game, you would never know he's leading the league in hitting. He'll turn to Terry or come outside the cage to Terry Pendleton and say, what was I doing wrong there? Why am I not able to hit that ball to right field when I go after it?
Well, I'll never forget what Martin said last year when the Braves made the switch of Kelly Johnson and Martin Prado at second base. He was so grateful, for lack of a better way of putting it, of the opportunity that the Braves were giving him. It was really refreshing in this day and age. He expected nothing, but has taken advantage of the opportunity. He's played great second base. As we know about his offensive numbers, he's done everything you could ask for there.
Hey,
it's just a great story.
It was just 2 winters ago that he couldn't even play on his Venezuelan team. Honestly, his Winter League team. The manager would play him some at first base and in the outfield, but he couldn't play on his team at second base.
That's down the middle, and Martin took it for a called third strike. And Nolasco has struck out 4 consecutive men and 5 of the last 6.
Sherwin-Williams painting the corners, and he did just that with that pitch.
Nolasco's strikeout high this year is 9. He did that in his last start against the Mets. He also struck out 9 at Colorado on April 24th.
I think it landed in an aisle. Missed everybody. This was his line against the Braves on September 30th. 7 2/3 innings, 16 strikeouts. which was a franchise record. And with all due respect to Ricky Nolasco, you might remember that was right at the end of the season when the Braves did not exactly finish with a flourish. They had been eliminated after a long battle trying to get the wild card spot against Colorado. But still, 16 Ks and 7 2/3 is pretty good work. 21 of his last 24 pitches have been strikes.
Braves had a chance in the first. Bases loaded, nobody out. Got just one run. Had one man reach second base since. And Nolasco has 9 strikeouts, and he's through 5 innings today. 3-1 Florida as we move on to inning number 6. You in part by Blimpie, by Georgia Power, and by AT&T Uverse. Beautiful day in Atlanta in all aspects but the score. 3-1 Florida leads it. A big day from Dan Uggla and Ricky Nolasco, who has punched out 9 men. And Tim Hudson, with 5 strikeouts of his own, starts Gabby Sanchez with ball 1.
Gabby Sanchez, one of those new wave hitters that's not a whole lot unlike Martin Prado in that he implements a real wide stance, barely even picks up his front foot, just kind of picks up the heel and then puts his foot right back down. Certainly helps with the balance. It helps keep you from overstriding and getting too far out on your front foot. But you got to be pretty strong too to throw the big end of the bat from that wide a stance.
Older fans might remember Jeff Bagwell hitting somewhat a similar fashion. All stretched out in the box. He almost stepped backwards at contact. Which is amazing that he was able to hit as well as he did doing that. Nice comeback for Hudson. Behind in the count, 3-0, retires Sanchez. And he set down 6 straight. Time for today's AT&T Uverse trivia question. Andy Ramirez, one of 2 Marlins all-time to record a 30-30 season. Can you name the other man that's done that? That's a good one.
That is a good one.
Hanley's going to the All-Star game for Florida. And doing that for the third straight year. That's a little dribbler, and that is a fair ball. Ramirez doesn't run, and Brian McCann will throw him out. That's an embarrassing play. Braves will take it. 2 out.
We get a little taste for part of the frustration of Freddie Gonzalez and what he went through trying to get this guy to play hard all the time. Just didn't hit a foot. It just bounced. He saw it come up and then chose not to run.
And Cantu will ground to short. Boy, how's this for an easy inning for Tim Hudson? 1, 2, 3, and out goes Florida. 8 in a row have been retired, and it's still a 3-1 Florida game.
Time now for the Coors Light Freeze Can and the Cold Train. Nice play by Brooks Conrad. He's turned in a couple of beauties over at third base today. Here's one of them, robbing Cody Ross of a base hit. That was back in the first inning to end the first inning. That's the Coors Light Freeze Can, brought to you by Frostbrewed Coors Light.
Well, let's get some offense going, fellas.
Yeah, look who's leading off.
Conrad, McCann, and Hinsky for Atlanta. Ricky Nolasco has been just great today. He struck out 9 guys. He struck out 5 in a row. And the first pitch popped into shallow right. That snaps the streak of strikeouts, but not the streak of outs. 1 away. Here's McCann. Bryan struck out in the first, singled in the third. In fact, he's the last Brave with a hit. But everything started to even out, as you guys said it would. 30 to 45 minutes or so. Shadows may help McCann here, as the Marlins have an infield shift working for him now. Interestingly, they put Cantu, the third baseman, on the right side and let Andy Ramirez maintain his normal shortstop spot.
I like that. I think that makes more sense than having Cantu play shortstop. Braves can do that and leave Chipper over there. He's a converted shortstop. just need some base runners. Get him back in the stretch and see if he's still throwing 95.
Hasn't been there since inning number 3. 1-2 pitch. From 0-2 to 3-2 now.
Little subtle defensive moves when the count changes. The count went to 3-2 on Brian, and Hanley Ramirez, shortstop, moved about 2 steps, almost 3 steps to his left, more up the middle, just figuring it on 3-2 count. Brian might be more apt to pull the ball.
He did, and he hit it a mile to right. A line drive home run. Brian McCann continues to punish Nolasco, and just like that, it's a 1-run game. What, does he have Nolasco's number or what?
His 5th career homer off Ricky Nolasco. 12 for 34 and 5 homers. Remember the high fastball he got him on earlier today, Tommy?
Yep. Didn't quite get that one aside.
He didn't. He wanted to. First inning, got it above his shoulders a little bit, and Brian chased it with the bases loaded. That time was a little about letter high. See ya.
So Brian in double digits with homers now. And while Nolasco's not stretching, he's got a 1-run lead now with which to work in this 6th. And that home run, by the way, the 20th he's given up.
Yeah.
But as we said earlier, because he doesn't walk people, probably a lot of them are solo shots.
Yeah, if they're solo shots, you can survive them.
Boy, did he fight that one off or what? 0-2. And Henske couldn't check his swing, and that's 10 strikeouts in the game for Nolasco. And speaking of 10, you can choose any 10 Braves home games and save money off the gate price when you order a Braves Flex plan for as low as $11 a game. To order, visit Braves.com/tickets or call 404-577-9100 today.
First time in double digits for strikeouts for Nolasco on the year, although he did strike out 9 in his last outing against the Mets.
He's been 0-2 almost all day. He figured that with 10 strikeouts.
Throwing a lot of strikes.
And especially that breaking ball. He's hitting that outside corner a lot to left-handers.
Close call. Another thing I like about Bill Miller, not only calls balls and strikes, but tells you where the pitch missed. The 100th pitch of the game is off the glove of Ugla into the short center. And the tying run is on for Atlanta with 2 outs. A single for Melky Cabrera.
Is that another breaking ball?
Yep.
Wasn't a bad pitch, just maybe went to the well once too often.
Yeah, try to double up on him. I think Melky had a little bit more patience on that one. Stayed back a little bit longer.
Well, let's see if Escobar can break into the homer column right here. Be nice. Velasco gives him up. And Udell is not just due but overdue for his first home run of the year. Tim Wood lurking in the Florida bullpen. That has been a big problem spot for them this year.
That's kind of the story with every team that plays the Marlins. If you can get through their rotation, get through their starters, and they're good, you got a chance against their bullpen.
At one point, the Marlins had used 17 different relief pitchers this year. Escobar ducked below that breaking ball and now finds himself behind 1-2.
Well, he doubled up on Melky. And after that reaction, I'd be surprised if he doesn't double up again.
Especially when he got him to duck.
Melky's got a pretty good lead. Outfield straightaway for Escobar. And he buzzed the tower and missed with ball 2.
Was looking for the breaking ball too, Tom. He was practically diving across the plate or getting ready to, and had to get out of the way of that fastball.
Yeah, if that pitch was in the zone, he had no chance of pulling the trigger on that one.
Fly ball right field. Ross got a good jump, and he'll make the play, and that will retire the side. But Brian McCann hits his 5th lifetime homer against Nolasco and his 10th of the year. Just like that, as we head to the 7th, another 1-run game.
Tim Hudson got in some trouble in the first inning, but he's pitched real well since then. Same could be said for Nolasco.
Hensky with a scoop at first, and the Braves finally are able to retire Dan Ugla. And Hudson now has set down the last 9 Florida hitters he has faced. And as you know, the 4th of July in Atlanta is always one full of memories. Hard to believe, fellas, but 1985 was the infamous Rick Camp game against the New York Mets. That improbable home run, Ron Darling finished up that game, won by New York in some 6 hours. The fireworks went off at 4 o'clock in the morning. And what fans may not remember is Braves pitching coach Roger McDowell was the second pitcher in that game behind Dwight Gooden, who had to leave after the second of 2 rain delays.
What a night. Every time I see that replay, though, and they usually show the last out, when Darling struck out Rick Camp, but Rick's going for it again.
Yeah.
I love that. He's going for the downs, baby.
Well, his home run came with 2 strikes and 2 outs to tie the game. And then Ron Darling said, I had to throw him a high fastball because he was a home run hitter all of a sudden. But how about the reaction of Danny Heap in left field as that ball went over the fence? Like, are you kidding me? But a 16-13 Mets win in 19 innings on the 4th of July. Another great milestone for a former Brave. Phil Niekro picked up his 3,000th strikeout on the 4th of July. Got Larry Parrish of Texas back in 1984. So, Nuxie, happy anniversary to you. Hope you're enjoying the 4th with your friends and family. And wherever you are today, what a great holiday in Atlanta.
Troy Gloss reminds me a lot of Larry Parrish in the way he swings, his stance at the plate. Big, tall, long-legged, long-armed guys.
10 in a row for Hudson, 6 strikeouts. And the Braves have the Marlins right where they want them.
Exactly. This game's following the perfect script.
Well, and speaking of scripts, it's kind of that way for Tim Hudson recently, too. Just about every time he pitches, somebody looks flashier doing it, but Tim's the guy that prevails, just steady as she goes.
And there's nothing wrong with flying under the radar.
Laying in the weeds.
But what's so exciting about Hudson is he said in spring training that he felt like his arm was back to where it was when he was a 20-game winner with Oakland. And I don't know how you guys feel, but I'm certainly not going to argue with him. But his stuff does look crisper and sharper, and he does look so much more fluid and comfortable to me this year than in years past.
No, I agree. I mean, and even this year itself, he looks much more fluid, much stronger, much more efficient now than he did even six or 8 weeks ago this season. So I think absolutely he's getting stronger and better each time out.
Bonifacio, another ground ball. Boy, he's racking them up by the bushelful, isn't he? 11 straight Marlins have been retired, and Tim turns it over to the offense. Down a run.
We can just get them into a position where their manager's got to make a decision, then we might have a shot.
Well, you know he's going to pitch to Diaz here.
Yeah.
Commander, U.S. Army Corps of Engineers, Gulf Region District, located on Camp Wolf, Baghdad, Iraq. And this is Braves Country!
From Baghdad, Iraq, Crazy Horse 5-7 Cav out of Fort Stewart, Georgia. This is Braves Country. Oh!
Great job by the men and women of the military, and a great job by Timothy Miller, the wonderful singer with the Atlanta Opera.
Just got a high five from Tim Hudson.
Well, maybe he's the reason the Braves are 30-9 at home. As Atlanta comes up here in the bottom of our 7th inning, we welcome you back to Sunday Braves on Fox Sports South, brought to you by your Greater Atlanta Hyundai dealers. Make it a Hyundai Sunday every week on Fox Sports South. Joe, revisiting our opening comments, this is where the Braves have feasted all year long. They have been such a dramatic, cardiac kind of club. And all the runs that they score in the 7th, 8th, and 9th innings, one-run game, you like the opportunity they have to sweep the series today.
Scored more runs than anybody in baseball from the 7th inning on. And have, I think, they're tied with Cincinnati, I think, for the most last at-bat wins, 15. So, yeah, this has been their time of game. They've got so many different guys that I don't have to tell Tom Glavine this, but what a nice thing to know that just about anybody that comes off your bench, they're so deep that anybody can get a clutch hit for you at any time.
No, and you know, you always talk about things that are contagious, so to speak, within a club, and you know that's one of those things. You know, you don't want to have to win games coming from behind all the time or win them late all the time, but the more you do it, the more you give yourselves that feeling that, hey, we're in every game, we've got a chance to win every game, and I guarantee you these guys are thinking exactly that way right now. They're saying, hey, we've been in this situation so many times this year and won ball games. They feel like they've set this game up exactly the way they want it to right now.
And this 7th inning for the Braves will start with Matt Diaz, then Tim Hudson spot them the top of the order against Ricky Nolasco. 3-2 your score. And a home run cut from Diaz. And he's down a quick strike.
Nolasco's been over 100 pitches 5 times this year, but 3 of those were in April. 3 of his first 4 starts he went over 100 pitches. As high as 119, and that was 2 starts ago at Baltimore, and he worked 7 innings. But I would venture to say that outside of the first inning, he hasn't had any real stress.
No.
I mean, he gave up the homer to McCann, but tracked up a lot of pitches because of the strikeouts. Otherwise, he's been breezing.
High fly ball to right. Ross froze for a moment. And there's your first out. Back to our AT&T Uverse trivia question. Hanley Ramirez, a 30-30 man for the Marlins. Can you name the other 30-30 man in their history?
You're going Cliff Floyd?
I'm going Cliff Floyd.
I'll go Gary Sheffield.
I'll go Craig Counsell because I know it's wrong.
Oh, I forgot about him.
We do that a lot up here.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I forgot about him.
Preston Wilson was kind of like maybe the current addition for the Marlins, Cameron Maybin. Can't miss guy that really missed. Maybin was the centerpiece of that big trade that sent Miguel Cabrera and Dontrell Willis to the Tigers, and right now you'd have to say Detroit's gotten the better of that.
Yeah. Well, anytime you get Miguel Cabrera, you're going to get the better end of just about anything.
Man. Taylor Tankersley has joined Tim Wood in the Marlins bullpen as pitch 113 from Nolasco comes home. And Hudson will see another one. Braves are off to Philadelphia right after the game tonight. Record temperatures expected for that series at Citizens Bank Park. Derek Lowe and Roy Halladay tip it off tomorrow night.
That was Tankersley and Wood warming up. That would have been sweet.
Look at Huddy work at the plate.
Nolasco, 82 strikes, 33 balls.
Well, you'd expect that kind of ratio from a guy wearing number 47, Joe. I mean, it's patently obvious, isn't it?
Yeah. Throws a lot of strikes, overpowering fastball. Okay, that's where it ends.
20 homers.
Oh, ouch.
What?
I don't know if I ever did that.
Nolasco finally wins the battle. That's strikeout number 11. And at the top of the order we go in Martin Prado.
We'll have to look that one up. What do you think the high was for your career?
I probably hit 21 here at least. Maybe more. Who knows?
Baker's all over that.
Yeah. Early inning issues. Good point, Dave. Yeah. You know, just like I've said, get the trouble out of the way. Just get it over with. You know what's going to happen sooner or later.
High fly ball, right center. Bonifacio on the run, tracks it down. What a catch.
What a play.
Boy, did he have to cover a couple of acres of territory in right center. And he robs Martin Prado and prevents at least a double. Braves retired in order, and we go to the 8th. The 8th inning, and we welcome you back to Sunday Braves on Fox Sports South. It's brought to you by your Greater Atlanta Hyundai dealers. Make it a Hyundai Sunday every week on Fox Sports South. Great to be along with you today with our producer Andy Pollack, with our stat man Dave Laser Baker, Joe Simpson, Tom Glavin. Great day to be with friends and family here at Turner Field. Brett Hayes, the Florida catcher, hits the first pitch of the inning up the middle. And that snaps a run of 11 straight retired by Tim Hudson. And let's see if that'll end the day for the Marlins starter.
Sherwin-Williams painting the corners. Didn't exactly paint the corner, but that was a good pitch because this guy doesn't play every day. He's hitting 190 coming in. Around the hole. And if it takes that to get to their bullpen, so be it.
Yeah. The way Nolasco's pitched, you want him out of the game. Now Roger McDowell out for a visit. The Braves pen will start working as Donnie Murphy will come on and pinch hit. Murphy called up from AAA New Orleans Saturday. Last appeared in the big leagues in September of 2008 with Oakland. 10 lifetime big league homers, 127 big league games, and only a 190 batting average.
Now, are they going to have a pitch hit the bunt, or? Never understood when managers do that, but
yeah,
we'll see.
Long chat down there with Joe Espada, their third base coach, though.
'85 strikes and 118 pitches for Nolasco today. But he is out of the ball game with a chance to win it. And Donnie Murphy, 1 ball, no strikes. Tim's into the 8th inning, just threw his 90th pitch. And a bunt is perfect. Sacrifice. Hayes to second. Maybe the Marlins wanted to be sure that a regular player would get the bunt down rather than chance it with the pitcher, with that 4th and very important run potentially aboard in the 8th inning.
You know, I understand that perhaps if you're down a run and you're playing to tie the game up, but you've already got the lead and you burn a bench player in the process instead of just letting Nolasco do it, even if you were planning to take Nolasco out.
Let's see how Nolasco handled the bat. And 3 sacrifices in 27 at bats. So Coughlin, key man in the inning. He's already 1 for 3 today with a run scored. 15 multi-hit games in the last 31 he's played. Would Hudson pitch him carefully and take his chances with the rookie Gabby Sanchez?
Good numbers late in the ballgame for Coughlin, too.
That one in for a strike.
He's got real good numbers against Huddy, too.
Yep.
6 hits and 11 tries, including that first inning single. Looking for something else, 2-2.
Now, when you're looking for something off speed or the sinker and you get the fastball down the middle, you try your best to make it look like a really bad pitch by spinning out of the way, jackknifing back, and like, what? Can't believe that was in there. Now Tim could try anything he wants. What you got here, Tom?
Man,
back door?
I think he's going to go back with that fastball inside.
His hit was to left field in the first inning. So he's shown he can hit to all fields, can Chris Coughlin. Now a full count. He did go inside but missed with it. And a double play in order for Hudson. Gabby Sanchez is the Florida hitter. Well, how good has Hudson's control been today? That's his first walk.
Not a bad one.
Nope.
But Sanchez has been hot. He's got a 5-game hit streak working, and perhaps it's on the line in this 8th inning.
He's also grounded out each of his last 2 times up. Struck out in the first inning. Has hit into 8 double plays.
Yeah, any of those things would be just fine for Hudson. And there's a good start.
This guy's been swinging the bat, as you said, Chip, really well. 8 for his last 20. He's had a good series. He's been on everything, especially hitting the ball hard to right center field. But against Hudson, he's had some funny swings. He must not be picking the ball up out of Tim's hand at all.
Even that looked like a little bit of a late reaction. 1 ball, 1 strike. Hayes, the catcher, at second. Coughlin at first. Can't give him any more. Braves down 3-2 in the 8th. Popped, shallow center. Can anybody get to it? They can't. And the bases will be loaded on a bloop hit from Gabby Sanchez. Now there's no margin for error with Hanley Ramirez up.
Got that slider up just enough. Allow him to get it off the end of the bat. Another funny swing.
Yeah, more, again, more of a defensive swing, but like you said, with it up in the zone, able to get it out there a little bit. If that's down a little bit, that's another ground ball.
We've got a guy on the mound beginning of play today, was among the league leaders in inducing ground ball double plays among starters. You got Moylan in the bullpen, who's been getting a lot of ground ball double plays out of the pen. I was going to stay with Tim.
Right at 100 pitches. And that caught Brian McCann.
Got his glove hand.
Yes,
Similar thing happened to David Ross, but it was his throwing hand.
Yeah, but that may have caused his hand, just the blow right in the pocket may have bent his hand back a little bit.
Andy Ramirez singled in the first. He flied to left, rolled right out in front of the plate and didn't run.
Yeah, maybe he won't run again.
Yeah.
Do it again. Get one back to Hudson and don't run again.
Just did get a sliver of the bat on the baseball to stay alive.
And that one got McCann. Hopefully not on that spot on the forearm that's already bruised. Fox tracks slider off the plate, but foul tipped right into the hand of Brian McCann. Bill Miller giving him a chance to regroup.
1 foul ball to the glove hand, 1 foul ball to the throwing hand. Rough inning for Brian. Sit down. 2 out.
Took him out the ladder, so to speak.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny. Right there, you get 2 ways to go. You figure if he is able to reach that first slider, you're thinking to yourself, man, oh man, I got all kinds of room on the inside corner because he can't cover both of those. But Huddy came right back with another one in the same spot and said, all right, you reached the last one. Let me see if I can go a little bit further. And he did, and he couldn't get to it.
But no rest for the weary. This guy's a big-time producer in the middle of the order. Jorge Cantu, bases loaded, 2 outs.
Be careful on the first pitch, too.
Might see that same slider again right here.
Tim asking if it was low, and the answer is yes.
Well, again, Bill Miller's been very consistent today. He'll give you that pitch a little bit off the plate inside, but not outside. He said it was low, and Fox Tracks says it was. One thing that always scares me about Cantu in these RBI situations, and check out those numbers, is that he's a good mistake hitter and off-speed hitter too. You can throw your best Sunday breaking ball and he's liable to hit a base hit right through the box. .93 of that fastball. He's got a little something left.
Hudson knocks it down, and he's going to get out of it. He'll turn it over to the offense. 2, 3, 4 coming up in a one-run game.
Yes, everything's great.
Okay. I don't know if Tim Hudson can pitch any better than he has, guys, the last 2 times out. Outdueled Strasburg. He's down a run to the Marlins here, but pitched out of a bases-loaded jam in the top of this 8th inning, and now turns it over to his offensive teammates.
Well, he continues to do the things he's done all year long, giving the team a chance to win. And like you said, so many times it seems he's kind of the undercard when he comes into some of these pitching matchups. But, man, he hasn't taken a back seat to anybody so far this year.
So on this 4th of July, we invite you to join us and the Atlanta Tennis Championships. They've teamed up to bring you to the ballpark and to the court this summer. The Atlanta Tennis Championships take place July 17th through the 25th at the Atlanta Athletic Club in Johns Creek, Georgia. Part of the prestigious Olympus U.S. Open Series. Visit Braves.com/tennis. Clay Hensley back from the DL and quickly into this game.
Check out the strikeouts to innings pitched. The guy who's really resurrected his career. Spent all of last year in the minor leagues and made this club in spring training.
But this is where it's really been dicey for the Florida Marlins. Getting the ball to Leo Nunez. And Randy St. Clair and his club nursing a 1-run lead. Deep short. Hanley boots it. That'll cost him. That's another area where Florida has really struggled. At times they can't catch a cold.
This ball was hit hard too. Blanco went up there to make him throw him a strike. And then when he had to, after finally delivering, hit it sharply. Hanley was a little bit on his heels on this one. It'll be an E6. Leadoff man on.
So a world of options now for Bobby Cox with Conrad, McCann, and Hinsky to follow. Brooks has walked and flied to right twice today. He's bunting and pops it up. And there's only one play, and it's a close one.
That is the hardest thing to read as a base runner there is on that bunt. He pops it up, and you've got to just make a decision. Is it going to drop or is somebody going to catch it? And Gregor read this one perfectly. You can see him kind of sidestepping his way off first base, and when he thought that the ball was going to drop in between the catcher and pitcher, he took off. Great read by Blanco again.
So Hensley faces two batters, is able to retire one of them. The Hanley Ramirez error looming large, tying run in scoring position with one out. Is Tankersley?
Tankersley. He's got the funky left-handed delivery. Seemed like he knocked his butt off.
McCann in the batter's box, and the third Florida pitcher of the afternoon is on the bump. And he's left-hander Taylor Tankersley.
Speaking of guys who have resurrected their career, he was out last year. He broke his elbow basically and had to fight his way back. Got called up when the Braves were in Florida in late May. Lefty's struggling against him.
Lefties are 1 for 19 against him, and Brian would love a second hit to go like his last one.
Well, that was a rocket. How far did it fly? 357 feet. Just enough.
Another good day for McCann at the plate. He's 2 for 3. Tankersley might have gotten away with one there. 0-2.
Tankersley's got this big high leg kick, and then he kind of goes flamingo on you. Oh, he tucks it, kind of hangs there for a second. That's different.
I've never heard a player called a flamingo before.
Hey, I hadn't heard one called praying mantis either, but what the heck.
Time. And it wasn't McCann, but the catcher, Hayes.
I like that. I like what Bill Miller just did. He let everybody in the ballpark know that it was not Brian McCann who called time. Pitcher's upset because he was in his delivery, but he only has his catcher to blame.
Last time Tankersley's given up a homer to a left-hand hitter was August 12th of 2007. McCann would settle for a single with the speedy Blanco in scoring position with one out.
You bet.
And interesting too, Joe, even with Blanco at second base, the Marlins still have the shift on with McCann up there. I mean, he's got a ton of real estate between the second base bag and Jorge Cantu playing third base.
It's a little different shift because the runner's at second. Cantu stays at third base, and Ramirez moves over to the first base side. You're right, that's a huge hole, and Brian would be the first to tell you when he's going good, and he's going good right now. He'll hit the ball that way, especially to the left center field gap. Tankersley was part of a purge the Marlins pulled off right before the last game down at Sun Life Stadium. They sent Badenhop and Peterson out. They put Raynel Pinto on the DL, and they called up Tankersley, Jay Bente, and another guy for their bench, Mike Lamb, all in one fell swoop. 6 players moving around.
High fly ball to center, but playable for Bonifacio. And there's your second out. Now Chipper Jones in the on-deck circle will get a big ovation and pinch hit.
They have Tim Wood ready and had him warming up. Just depends on whether Edwin Rodriguez wants a lefty or a righty to pitch to Chipper.
Chipper this year, 9 2-out RBIs. Will be intentionally walked. And then another switch hitter, Melky Cabrera, will bat next. How about this? Blocking the potential go-ahead run in the 8th inning. There are, however, 2 outs.
Very unconventional. Yesterday he was, the manager of the Marlins was very unconventional in that he let Gregor Blanco hit with first base open and the pitcher on deck. And Blanco crossed him up, got a base hit, and drove in 2 runs. We'll see how this one works for him.
And now it looks like it will be Wood for Tankersley. So Hensley retires 1 man. Tankersley retires 1 man. He also issues the intentional walk to Chipper Jones. And the Marlins are ever deeper into their bullpen, trying to protect a 3-2 lead in the bottom of the 8th. Error by Hanley Ramirez, then an intentional walk to pinch hitter Chipper Jones. And the third pitcher of the inning is right-hander Tim Wood.
He pitched here Friday night, worked a perfect inning. Got Chipper, McCann, and Troy Gloss in order. 2 ground outs and a pop-up.
So Melky Cabrera will stand in. Melky is 1 for 3 today. That gives you hope. With 2 outs in the 8th.
Throws hard. He can walk a few guys, and you just saw in the stats, but a good first pitch there to get ahead.
Well, it's another one of these Marlins relievers that's wearing out the airport concourse in New Orleans and Fort Lauderdale. This is his 3rd separate stint with the Big Club just this year alone. Oh, 2. Wood, another young power arm that we're seeing out of a National League bullpen. Last one to Cabrera was 94 miles an hour. Fidel Escobar would hit next.
I think you're doing Melky a favor if you throw him something trying to go down and away.
Back up the middle. Hanley Ramirez cuts it off and throws him out on a bang-bang play. That makes up for the error that started the inning. The Braves strand a pair in the bottom of the 8th. And to the 9th we go with Florida still in front. Have taken Tim Hudson down. Bobby Cox makes his first AT&T call to the bullpen, and it's right-hander Peter Moylan who will go through the Ugla, Ross, and Bonifacio part of the Marlins batting order.
His ERA going steadily down thanks to some good work in recent games. This is his 7th game on this homestand. 2 against Detroit, 2 against Washington, and now all 3 against Florida.
And a tough man to start as Dan Ugla's had a big day.
Subject of the Coors Light cold hard blast as he hit his 16th home run back in the 4th inning. And that's the difference in the ball game right now.
Hudson pitched a beautiful ball game, but is on the short end right now as Moylan gets strike 1.
Defensive changes for Atlanta. Chipper stays in the game to play 3rd. Conrad moves over to 2nd. And Martin Prado moves to 1st.
Strike 2 to Ugla. Lifetime homers for Ugla against Atlanta. Has some work to do, down 2 strikes. You got to figure in the Braves half of this 9th inning, we'll get a look at Leo Nunez, the Marlins closer. Good pitch. Ugla to a knee is down on strikes. Was that Dave?
I thought it was a breaking ball.
I think he took a little off his slider. Might have been a backup slider that didn't do anything. Or
yeah.
Well, it sure was effective. Ugla down on strikes.
Could have been a hybrid, Dave.
Braves began the day 10.5 games in front of the Marlins, 3 games in front of the Mets. New York won. Phillies lost. And we'll see both those clubs on our road trip, which starts tomorrow night.
As good as the Braves have played over the last 2 months, they're racing an ugly April. You'd hate to lose that lead going into the break, kind of spoil what you've accomplished, but they're going to have a tough time. Halladay, Hamels, and Moyer, the 3 pitchers they'll see in Philadelphia. Jamie Moyer threw a gem here, remember, earlier in the year. I think that was the last time the Braves lost a home series was against the Phillies in late April, and Moyer threw a 1-hit shutout.
I think it's safe to say this is a different Braves team than the one we saw face the Phillies.
No doubt.
In that series. And then you got to go to New York, where the Mets have won 24 of their last 31 games at Citi Field. I get a look at R.A. Dickey, the knuckleballer in that series. He's been a great story for New York. But first things first, not done with the Marlins yet. Ross stays alive at 2-2. Marlins closer is just about ready.
He did not get an out Friday night in the 11th.
That is a perfect example of throwing the bat at the ball.
Just trying to stay alive right there. Live to fight another fight.
Some coaches, some hitting coaches describe trying to get good extension as throwing the big end of the bat. Well, this is taking it to the extreme, but he did foul it.
Chipper handles his first chance cleanly. Two outs. And the speedy Emilio Bonifacio stands in. Last year, this guy was the toast of baseball the first couple of weeks of the year, and he's struggling now to keep his average in the 150s. Hitting a .158 after an 0-for-3 start today.
Speed's a wonderful thing. It's a great weapon, but you just can't steal first.
But the threat of that speed, Joe, even in the ninth inning, look at what it does to the cornermen for the Braves. Infield.
Well, it's like when he came up a couple of innings ago with 2 out, nobody on, and I talked about how everybody shortens up, not just the corner guys. Conrad and Escobar have to move in a step or two as well.
And that's what that does. It opens up an angle, and Bonifacio singles with 2 outs. Maybe that's a step in the maturation of the game of Bonifacio, kind of like what you've talked about with Gregor Blanco, understanding what kind of a player he is.
He has to. He's got to do the little things right and show bunt, even if he's not planning to bunt, just to draw the infield in some.
He's not sure. Somebody over there ought to pull out some old Juan Pierre tapes when he was a Marlin.
Yeah.
Sure.
Good call. So here's Brett Hayes. Hayes 1 for 3 today. Singled his last time up. With the sidewinding delivery of Peter Moylan. He's a guy that Marlins might try to steal a base with.
I'll look for a pitch out here in the first pitch or two.
Mike Lamb's on deck. He would bat in the pitcher's spot if Hayes can reach. Call, Tommy, but no move from Bonifacio. 1 ball, no strikes.
John Baker was supposed to be their everyday catcher this year. Last year hit .271, 9 homers for Florida, but he's had a bad elbow and he's been on the disabled list from the get-go, really. So they've had to fill in. They got Paulino, who's become their everyday catcher, and then Hayes was called up, even though at New Orleans he was only hitting .220 with 1 homer. Trying to take advantage of his opportunity.
Hitting .208 with that hit today, and as we mentioned a couple of times, Paulino's been an Iron Man back there. 25 games in a row for today's off day for him. 2 balls and a strike. Tell you what, Brian McCann is going to need a hug after this game.
This game won't be over soon enough for him. Both hands and then the foot. that stuff and got him in the calf.
Runner goes, good jump. And Hayes had to swing, otherwise he might have been struck out. Again, runner goes, pitch outside, no chance to get Bonifacio. So he's 3 for 3 in steals.
They were holding him, but their concern was more with Hayes. This is a guy they want to get, even at the expense of Moylan using his high leg kick, throwing a breaking ball. They weren't concerned with the stolen base as much as they are getting this guy out.
I think once Peter got the 2 strikes, that runner didn't matter to him. He's trying to put that hitter away.
Eric O'Flaherty is warming in case this game gets to Mike Lamb, who's in the on-deck circle. Fly ball, right center field. Blanco with great speed tracks it down. And so we go to the bottom of the 9th inning. Braves need a run to tie. We go to the bottom of the 9th inning. 3-2, Florida is in front. And let's tell you about our Toyota Tacoma play of the game.
Tim Hudson was pitching with the bases loaded and only 1 out. Struck out Hanley Ramirez and got a little comebacker off the end of the bat from Jorge Cantu to get out of trouble and leave the bases loaded. And that gives the Braves this opportunity here, trailing by only 1 run instead of more, going to the bottom of the 9th.
Well, this has been another bit of the recipe for this 48-33 start for the Braves. They have 15 last at-bat wins. Can they do it on the 4th of July before a big crowd? Well, to do so, they're facing a man they've lit up. Leo Nunez, the Florida closer.
Yeah, his last 8 appearances ugly against Atlanta, including the one Friday night. And what got him in trouble was after the Marlins had scored a run in the 11th, he went out there and walked Brian McCann on 4 pitches to start the inning. Gloss doubled, and Fonte singled them both in. Ball game over. So his key is going to be to come in throwing strikes today.
Yudel Escobar will start it off. Escobar is 2 for 5 lifetime against Leo Nunez. And there's nothing wrong with this guy's arm. That last pitch was 96 and sinking. Marlins outfield very deep. Trying to cut off extra base hits. Cantu almost on top of the third base bag. 2.
I'll tell you, the guys they got coming out of their bullpen, it's not, whatever struggles they're having, it's not a lack of stuff. They've got some pretty good arms.
Last home run Yunel hit was against Nunez. Can he do it here and tie it in the 9th?
Nunez has blown saves in each of his last 2 outings. One in Puerto Rico against the Mets and one here Friday night.
And that homer was September 2nd of last year. Bouncing ball to Hanley. Charged it. Had a little trouble, but makes the throw for the first out. Well, the Marlins manager, Edwin Rodriguez, said of Leo Nunez, he wants to see him be a power pitcher. Felt that Nunez, at least his quotes in the Florida papers, that he's relying on his changeup way too much. Use the fastball, use the slider. Threw a lot of gas at Escobar and got him for the first out.
They still have Infante, Ross, Hicks, and Gloss on the bench. All right-handed hitters.
I don't think he's thrown a changeup yet, has he?
Well, I'll tell you, maybe that might be one of his problems. If he's worried about a fastball, a slider, and a changeup, I don't know too many closers that come out there with 3 pitches. Usually it's 2, and one of them is dominating.
That's dominating at 97.
Yeah, I think that right there would be my foundation. That's what I'd work off. Mm-hmm. And then figure out which of the other 2 is your better pitch and stick with those 2.
Well, he's thrown an 86-mile-an-hour slider. That was a 97-mile-an-hour fastball. And he has Diaz down 2 strikes.
I don't know what he tried to do there.
That looks to me like he's trying to throw a 104-mile-an-hour slider. And it's just not doing anything.
He's set up outside and had to come back to get it.
Strike 3, an 89-mile-an-hour slider. 2 out.
Fox Tracks tells us that it's about as close to the corner as you can get.
I don't know what that pitch is.
Well, it's the one before. I don't know if that's supposed to be a split and it's just not doing anything, but one was, he's throwing a fastball at 97, a 4-seamer, and that pitch is at 90.
I would have thought it was a slider, but it doesn't even look like it has slider break on it.
So Omar Infante, the last hope for Atlanta in the 9th. And let me rephrase that. All-star Omar Infante.
There you go.
Great honor for Omar today. Charlie Manuel, National League skipper, named him to his first All-Star game today. And it's high to even the count. Martin Prado, a fellow All-Star, would love a chance to hit in this 9th inning. Braves, though, down to their last out.
Omar's a good fastball hitter, as we've told you before, and 3 for 4 with a homer off of Nunez in his career. First time he's been behind a hitter.
Now he's even up. 2 balls, 2 strikes. Sun-splashed crowd in Atlanta today, 44,163, hoping that somehow, some way, the Braves can get this thing tied.
Good cut by Omar there on a 96 fastball that was up. He still got a piece of it.
Love the battle here in the ninth.
Like you said, Tom, nothing wrong with their stuff.
No.
It's a matter of application. Look, Omar's been out in front on an 88 and an 89 mile an hour pitch because he's sitting on that upper 90 fastball, hoping that he makes a mistake with it out over the plate. Let's see if Hayes and Nunez oblige.
Game over. Boy, Nunez was awfully impressive in the bottom of the ninth inning. A couple of strikeouts. And the Florida Marlins hand the Braves just their second home one-run loss of the year. 3-2 today's final as Atlanta settles for 2 out of 3. And fellas, this game really took its shape with Ricky Nolasco and Tim Hudson on the mound. Hudson was terrific, Nolasco a little bit better, and he is our Toyota Tundra hardest working player.
Well, Nolasco got out of his first inning troubles that he seems to have troubles with on a consistent basis. But again, another high strikeout total against Atlanta, 11 in 7 innings. And he is now 4-5 against the Braves with that performance and salvages 1 game for his ball club.
So, Super Bowl game. Bummer of a result for the Braves. They fall 3-2. Their lead in the East down to 2 games now. And off we go to Philly and New York before the All-Star break. Fellas, happy 4th of July. Tommy, great to see you. Joe, great to see you as well. We'll see you when we get back to Atlanta after the All-Star game.
Good work, fellas. Good work.
3-2 our final score. Join us next Friday night from Citi Field. The Braves open their series with the New York Mets. Braves Live gets things started at 6:30 Eastern on Sports South. And for Joe Simpson.